Hi everyone. In this video, we'll take a look at how to build and publish a Chrome extension. So if you're using Chrome, you would have at some point used Chrome extensions. Those are little extensions over here, little tools that sort of extend the functionality of Chrome and provide certain features that Chrome doesn't provide built-in. And so today we're going to look at how to create one. So to start off with, how to build and publish a Chrome extension. Now, there are a lot of features that Chrome allows you to extend, and some of them are mentioned on the slide. So we start off with something simple like overriding the new tab or history or bookmarks page. So that is quite self-explanatory, but Chrome allows you to override these pages and extend the functionality and provide some customized functionality to your users. You can also have different actions and pop-ups. So actions is this little icon over here, the extension icon that shows in your extension toolbar, and when you click on that, the pop-up that shows up is what's called the pop-up itself. Then you have the options page. Options page allows you to provide the user with an option to customize the extension for them. And so if you wanted certain users to customize their behavior, for example, you want the extension to do certain things for certain users, you can provide a form in the options page and get the user to customize what the behavior would look like. Then you have background. Is nothing but a service worker or a background script, which is Chrome's way of telling you that you can add some code, and the background script will listen to all these events in the background, and it will execute your code based on whenever certain events are fired. Then you have keyboard commands, which means it's on certain keyboard commands you can actually activate your extension, and that just provides you with that interface to be able to do that. Then you have Omnibox. Now Omnibox is this search bar over here, Chrome's search bar, and using Omnibox you can actually extend that and provide your custom keywords so that Chrome, the browser, will listen for those keywords and then sort of provide your functionality, and so you can customize some functionality over there as well. Now, content script is a bit different to background script. Content script is a JavaScript file that gets injected into a web page that you have configured, and while background script actually runs in the background in the browser itself, so it doesn't get injected into any particular page. Now, there's all of these features, and if I had to provide some examples of some of these features where they've been used. All of these examples are extensions that I've built by me, so please do check it out. I'll provide the links in the description below. So overriding the new tab, I've built an extension called 478 breathing exercise, which basically just overrides the new tab of your browser, meaning whenever you open a new tab, it will provide you with that exercise, that application. Then I've made an extension called retro notes, and that essentially is what I just showed here, which is the action and the pop-up itself. It allows you to add some notes for your next retrospective meeting. And then I've also made an extension called Jira status colors that essentially injects a script into your Jira page, and then that allows you to change the colors of these labels. At the moment it is colorless, and that's why this extension is being made and provided. You can click on the options and customize the colors for all these labels on for Jira, and that'll just basically color those labels based on your preference. So these are just some examples. Feel free to check it out. Links will be in the description below. Now, jumping into how the extension is built. So this diagram and a few slides after that is just a high-level architecture of how conceptually how all the elements of the Chrome extension fit together. So we know that there's the Chrome browser, which is marked in the red borders. and then we have the extension, the Chrome extension, which is marked in the blue border, and then whatever page you visit, that is marked in the green border. Now we know that Chrome provides certain APIs, which is nothing but just publicly available methods, which allows developers to use and interact with the browser. And what an extension does is sits in a place where it can connect to these APIs, and then through the extension you can actually get and even set data or some other information through these Chrome APIs. Now this extension also enables you to override a new tab or bookmarks or history page, and then let's say if you wanted to loop through all the bookmarks that have been set in Chrome, you can get the extension to call the bookmarks API, get all the information, and then override the bookmark page and show all these bookmarks onto the page. So that's how the whole flow would be enabled. Now the next few slides are quite similar, but just to give you an idea, you can do the exact similar thing to override or to provide the options page. It also sits outside there. Then you have the pop-up, which is what we just saw in retro notes, and then you have the Omnibox. So you can use all of that. Everything follows sort of the same pattern. And then you have content script. Now content script, if you notice, sits inside the box of the web page, and the reason for that is because the content script, as mentioned previously, actually is injected into the web page. It's a JavaScript file that is injected into the web page, and that allows you to write some JavaScript to then manipulate the DOM elements in the web page that this script is injected into. And then you have service worker or the background script. Now you notice that box is actually sitting inside the extension box, unlike the other boxes. And that's because the service worker, this background script, actually runs in the background in the extension's context itself, and it listens to all these different events that can connect to the APIs, Chrome APIs, and then you can get the service worker to do certain things. Now, while there are multiple things that you can develop as a Chrome extension, for this video and to keep things very simple, we'll look at overriding a new tab. So how do we do that? Before we actually get into the code, we'll take a look at conceptually how we would do that. So if I do expand those diagrams that I just showed you before, we're looking at the similar diagram with similar boxes, but now if you notice the new tab box, we've expanded into that box and we have showed a purple box, which is nothing but the application itself, the extensions code itself. And as you would notice, it is nothing but just pure HTML, JavaScript and CSS. And that's essentially what it is. Overriding a new tab is essentially just building another web page, and as long as you can build a website, you should be able to even build a Chrome extension. The process is exactly the same as building a website, but instead of then publishing the website to a domain, for example www.example.com, instead of hosting your website in a server, what you're doing is you're packaging your website code into an extension and then publishing it as an extension. So the delivery mechanism changes, but the content inside that box still remains the same. It is just another website. So when there are so many things that we can develop, how does Chrome actually know that we are writing code to override a new tab? How does it know that that is the functionality that we are writing our extension for and we're providing our extension for? Now it knows that because of the manifest JSON file. A manifest JSON file is nothing but a JSON file which consists of metadata. So it will contain things like the name of your extension, the version of extension, icons, the description, your author, and it will also contain information like what feature are you trying to extend. So are you trying to override the new tab, bookmarks tab or history tab, or you're trying to do something else, or are you requiring certain specific permissions? Do you need to contact or get in touch with the Chrome API and because of that you might require some specific permissions. So all of this information is stored in manifest JSON file, and that is the primary file that the Chrome browser reads, and it will understand based on that file what your extension is doing, and then it will locate all your source code and then provide the actual functionality of the extension. So then without further ado, we will take a look at actually developing and testing our extension. So to begin with, what we would want to do is have a folder open. So I'm using VS Code at the moment, but you can use any other IDE that you like. What I have is a folder which is consists of a license file. This is a default file that is got created when I created the repository in GitHub. Now what I'll do is I will quickly add some files. Now I have already committed all of all of the code, and I will just quickly go through them. So if I double click on this commit, if I check this commit out, you will see that on the left hand side the files will automatically get added, and then I will explain what those changes are. So if I double click this and check out the commit, you will see that I have added some icons of different size variations, 16 by 16 pixels, 48 and 128 pixels. And then I've added a manifest JSON file, which is nothing but the metadata file that I was talking about. And that consists of the manifest version, which is the version that the manifest file itself is, not your file, but the actual file that Chrome understands. What version of this manifest file does Chrome understand? That is what this version is. So for example, if you use some properties from manifest version 1, they might have become obsolete in manifest version 3, and therefore Chrome will not understand those properties. So that's why this specifying this is required. Then you have the name, you have the description, you have version, you have author. All of this is pretty self-explanatory. Version, I would recommend using Semware. That is, it's a very easy system of versioning, major, minor, patch. And then you have icons. All we're saying is these are the list of icons in the icons folder, and this is the image name. So at this moment, we have not overridden the new tab. It is just simply metadata of the extension. That's all we have added. Now to actually add the functionality to override the new tab, I will check this commit out, and you will see that a few more files have been added. So let's do that. And as you can see, 3 new files have been added. One is the HTML file. It just consists of a simple text in the body of this HTML file. It references the JavaScript and CSS file and just updates the title of this page. That's it, right? It's very simple. There is nothing much in this HTML page. It is just a simple web page. In the CSS file, we have just added some code so that it changes the color of the background of the text and changes the font size of the text. And then in the JavaScript file, we have just printed out a message in the console. That's it. Now in the manifest file, we have a change made as well, which is these lines, line number 12 to 14. This code block says that, look, we are going to override the default Chrome URLs, and we are going to override the new tab, and we are providing this HTML file to be the new tab web page. That's what we're doing. It's just an association where we're just telling the browser what to look for. Now you can either override the new tab or the bookmarks page or the history page, but not all 3 together in the same extension. So if you wanted to override all 3, you would have to provide them as separate extensions. So that is just something to note. Now we have done this, and if it was obviously a slightly complicated app, like you have some JavaScript, like let's say if you were to write some more functions in JavaScript file, you would want to write some unit tests as well. And if you were writing some unit tests, you could literally write any You could use any library that you are comfortable with to write unit tests for your JavaScript. Or if you're using TypeScript, then whatever you're comfortable with, you could continue using that. There is no specific requirements around what library to use or what language to use, so you can continue with what you're already familiar with. The next part of the testing is actually testing this in the browser. So what we'll do is we'll open up Chrome. This is a default mode that I have on my screen. And what I'll do is to install the extension, I will click on developer mode. I'll enable this and then I will click on load unpacked. When I click on this button, I go into the folder that I'm in, which is the simple Chrome extension template. And then I will just select this folder. This is where all my source code exists. Now that I've selected this folder, I can see that this extension is loaded up. And now to test the new tab, all I have to do is just open up the new tab. And as you can see, now instead of the default Chrome new tab, I actually see my HTML page with this message. And then if I open up the console, I will see that same message get printed out in the console as well. So I know that the JavaScript is working. I know that because of these color changes, the CSS is working. And of course the HTML got printed out, which means the HTML file is also working. Now let's see if I had to make any further changes to one of these files. I would have to go back, and to test it again, I just have to click on this reload button here, and that would reload the extension into Chrome. And then I can go ahead and then open up the new tab again and then test the changes once again. If your changes for some reason does not show up, you can click on this remove button and then load unpacked and load the extension manually yourself. As you can see that this information, the title, the description, the icon, the version, everything comes from the manifest.json file. So it is important to write the manifest.json file as accurately as possible, because this is something that users will see. Now what do we have next? We have a recap slide. So what did we have in our HTML file? What was there in our source code? We had one folder which consisted of the manifest.json file, which is nothing but the metadata that referenced all the icons, and then that also referenced an HTML file which then indirectly referenced its CSS and a JavaScript file. So that is the source code of our extension, and that's all we need to package and deploy and publish it to the store. And then the users will be able to download this extension and also see the exact same functionality that we just tested. Now this was a relatively simple example, but what if you had something more complicated? Like, let's say if you had some Sass files instead of CSS files, you had TypeScript files instead of JavaScript files, and you had test folder itself. You wouldn't want to include all of those files and folders into the final package folder, because you don't want to bloat your Chrome extension, the file size of that package, too much with unnecessary files. So one solution or one way to solve this problem is to use Webpack. Now using Webpack, you can actually convert or compile your Sass files to CSS files, the TypeScript files to JavaScript files, and also run your tests and actually not include the test files into the final distribution folder. With Webpack, you can also copy specific files into specific folders or from one folder to another. Now I have used Webpack in I think almost every extension that I've built, and I will link some of them in the description below so that you can check it out for reference. Now make sure that you test your extension thoroughly locally on your Chrome browser, because there are quirks that will be found only when testing it locally, and it won't be found when you unit test it. So definitely spend some time testing your Chrome extension locally on your browser. So we have built our Chrome extension, and now it is time to upload the Chrome extension so that other people can actually use what we have built. Now, how to do that? To do so, what we'll do is you would have to go onto the Chrome Web Store developer dashboard and register as a developer. You would have to accept the agreement and then also pay a one-time $5 registration fees. Once you do that, you would be taken into your account page where you would have to fill up your account or developer information, including an email address which will be verified. And then once you do that, you can click on the items tab, and then when you start off fresh, you would obviously not see any of these items listed. This is from my personal account. What you would want to do is click on the new item button, and then you would get a pop-up to upload a zip file. Now, what is a zip file? This zip file is nothing but just an archived file or a zip file of your Chrome extension source code. So in our example, simple Chrome extension template, these are the files that we were using. And what you want to do is you want to copy the files or select the files that you want to package and publish, and just right click, 7-zip it, and create a zip file. Now this is the zip file that you would want to upload here. Once you do that, you would get a UI that looks similar like this. The status tab will only show you, the status of the package, which is unpublished. Package will just give you some information about the package. You won't see the right hand side because you're uploading it for the first time. In the store listing tab, you will see the title of the package, the description, or the summary, and then you would have to enter the description, category, language, and also upload an icon and at least one screenshot of your Chrome extension. And then of course, this is optional, but you can also choose to enter a homepage URL, a support URL, and also your website, or maybe the extension has its own website which you have already configured using Google Search Console, and you should be able to add that in here as well. You can go on to privacy practices next and re-enter a single purpose description of your Chrome extension. If your Chrome extension is using any of those Chrome APIs, it requires additional permissions, and these permissions require justification, as in you would have to tell the people who are reviewing your Chrome extension as to why you want to use these APIs, why you want these extra permissions. Now, if you are installing or if you are loading any JavaScript or CSS files externally from external sources on the fly, you would have to click on yes, I'm using remote code. Otherwise, you can continue to use no, I'm not, or select no, I'm not using remote code. If you are using remote code, you would have to provide a justification for the same. And finally, we have some data usage checkboxes. You would have to check that wherever applicable and certify that certify these checkboxes has a disclosure. Payments and distribution is when if you want you to charge for your Chrome extension, you could also in terms of distribution, you could also change the visibility of your Chrome extension and which regions your Chrome extension should be available. Once your Chrome extension is published, you will see some analytics, and you can go through these tabs and see some graphs based on who's installing your extension and from where they are, what operating system they're using, so on and so forth. After you have done with it, you can click on the submit for review button, and this will start the submission process, and then it will be reviewed by the team. It usually takes a day or two, maybe a few days more, but they are very quick to come back with either an acceptance or a rejection. Now, I should also add that whatever you write over here in these fields is visible here once your extension is published. So you would want to make sure that all the information that you're writing is accurate and it has been, because it's been published, it's been shown over here. If you don't know what it would look like, you can click on the 3 dots and click on preview, and then this will show you a preview version. Even if your changes have not been published yet, it will show you what it will look like once they are published. So with that, you should be able to publish your Chrome extension, and the link will be available, and then you should be able to share that link with your friends and family and your network, and they will be able to download, install your extension onto their Chrome browser. So what's next? The next thing to take a look at is build and deployment. But of course, because of the nature of this video, we won't go into the details and the code of it, but I will link a build and deployment file below. But I will just explain for now, for this video, I will just explain conceptually what you would want to consider during your build and deployment, and to automate it really. So a build at the very least should be able to automatically get your source code and create a zip file out of it. That is the bare minimum that your build pipeline should be able to do. If you're using something like TypeScript and something that requires some compilation, then your build pipeline should have some steps that builds the code, creates a folder, and then zips or creates an archive of that folder. Then your deployment pipeline should be able to take that or download that zip file and then be able to publish that zip file to the Chrome extension store or the Chrome Web Store. Now, even if you have automated this process of building and deployment, this pipeline will only publish a new version of your Chrome extension to the store, but it will not automatically submit it for you. So you still have a manual step to go to the Chrome Web Store developer dashboard and hit the submit for review button once your build and deployment pipeline is complete. So that's just something to take a note of. And it is, all this process, all of this video that you have been watching, it is not restrictive to Chrome only. Everything that you have learned so far, you could use everything and develop an extension for the Microsoft Edge store as well, or the Edge browser. So you can actually take the exact same files and upload that same zip to the Chrome Web Store and the Microsoft Edge store. Everything remains the same. There are a few things that you need to consider if you were developing for both the browsers, and it is some things to do, like certain APIs might not be available, or you cannot use the word Chrome in any of your description or in your title of your extension. So things like that needs to be considered, but programmatically wise, your source code wise, you can actually reuse everything for the Microsoft Edge browser as well. Now this is the last slide. I have some links over here, but of course this is just to explain, but of course there'll be a lot more links in the description of this video. Now this simple Chrome extension is what we have been looking at in this video. It is available in that link. I have developed another repository which is the Chrome extension template, and that contains a lot more, it's still boilerplate, but a lot more examples. Both of these repositories are made available as a template, which means you can easily create a new repository from this template. The third file is a Figma community file. It has all the frames built in of all the correct resolutions that your Chrome Web Store developer dashboard requires. So all the icons are of the correct sizes, the screenshots are of the correct sizes. All you need to do is go into that and upload your images there, create this image of the thing that you're building, and then just export it as images. So do check that out. It is free and it is available for you to use. Now you might have any questions, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. If you leave them in the comments down below of this video, I will get to them as soon as I can. Do leave them below, and of course check out all the links in the description of this video, and stay tuned for more videos on this channel. So that's it for this video. I hope you did like this video, and I'll be keen to see if you have developed any Chrome extension after watching this video. I'll be keen to see them, so do link them below as well. I'll check it out. And of course, do not forget to like this video, share this video with your network, with your friends and family, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel, so that you are notified of all the future videos that gets posted on this channel. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.